Welcome back to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me on set, MarketSite is Al Burgio, who's the founder and CEO of Fusechain Inc. and DigitalBits blockchain. And as you might have guessed, we're talking about everyone's favorite topic, blockchain technology. Al, it's great to have you back at MarketSite with me. Tell us about DigitalBits blockchain and sort of how you got into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a serial entrepreneur across the entire sort of internet spectrum over the years. And obviously became very fascinated with blockchain, the blockchain space, and founded the DigitalBits project, which led to the launch of the DigitalBits blockchain. Right. With that blockchain, you can tokenize assets on it. They can transfer and trade on-chain with multi-hop. And so in many cases, there doesn't need to be a direct market for, let's say, an order to fill. And it's also really fast, so it's great for, the blockchain's great for fast payments and remittances. Mm-hmm. We are very much maintaining a focus. Obviously, it's a general purpose blockchain, anybody's free to use it, but we're behind supporting certain asset classes that we feel are ideal to tokenize. And so one of those industries that we're behind supporting organizations within that industry and helping them in essence, disrupt their industry is loyalty and reward space. Mm-hmm. It's a massive market filled with friction, highly fragmented, and in a lot of respects lacks liquidity. There's, in the United States alone, there's over $100 billion in points issued and currently unused, sitting on the balance sheets of corporations. Mm-hmm. About 48 billion in points get issued every year, and a third of them never get used. So it's representing 16 billion in value every year not getting used.
So when you say points, you mean like it's associated with your credit card, like your Amex points? So how does
airlines, hotels,
right? Guilty as charged. I have points sitting out there that I just forget about. So how would blockchain and using digital reward programs help fix that?
Sure, there is both a marketability aspect to it and a security aspect of it. Because in a lot of respects, depending on who you speak to, they'll say that these points issuers tend to get hacked more than banks do. So there's huge security concerns. As a result of that, you have these centralized banks of points managed by oftentimes the actual program operator themselves. And if you want to go use them, it's not necessarily a real-time experience. It's like, well, how do we know you're Jill? Mm-hmm. And it could be up to a week before there's even a redemption. So if you think of something where you want to transfer it, it's not going to transfer that quickly. And if it can't transfer that quickly, then it's not necessarily something that is filled with liquidity, okay. Let's say.
See, I get it now, because if you want to transfer something, let's say from your credit card to an airline program, and you want to book that ticket now, it could take a few days to do.
Exactly.
And then of course the price goes up.
And as a consumer, you may not know that based on your first experience. Like, oh, I'll leave it to the last minute, like many people do, and then all of a sudden, you're not getting on the plane.
I just had that happen. That's why I'm getting it now. So that was a helpful explanation to me anyway. So is this an enterprise-grade blockchain? Is it distributed and decentralized? Who's supporting it?
It's very much enterprise-grade. And it's enterprise-grade not just based upon how it's been engineered, but also in terms of the go-to-market strategy. So we really look at what we call a digital supply chain. So yes, there's the consumer, but then there's the enterprise and brands, and the SaaS and software companies that support those brands. Then of course, cloud infrastructure, data center companies and managed cloud companies that support the enterprise and software companies in their consumption of technology, including blockchain technology. We have partnered and continue to partner with organizations at every level. So brands, from brands to SaaS companies to cloud infrastructure companies. And we're very confident that by the end of this year we'll hit some leading milestones in terms of number of partnerships and so forth. What makes it enterprise grade, however, among taking an enterprise go-to-market approach, is that the technology, this particular blockchain technology, can work in the pre-existing cloud today, pre-existing server hardware that you would see in a multi-billion-dollar data center facility today. So it's not funny-looking mining hardware that's not necessarily found in those facilities. So for that, it works in a lot of ways. To sort of phrase it is, you don't necessarily have to make it an additional CapEx investment as an enterprise or as a data center operator to consume this technology. So that makes it, in my opinion, enterprise grade.
All right, so is there a utility token or security token that's associated with DigitalBits blockchain?
There is, I would say, both directly and indirectly both. Directly, what I mean by that is this particular blockchain, it's a public blockchain, so it does have its own native cryptocurrency. Like with Bitcoin, there's the Bitcoin blockchain, the Bitcoin crypto. Similarly speaking, Ethereum, Ether, with the DigitalBits blockchain, there's the DigitalBits native currency, and you need that currency to be able to use the blockchain network. Its number one evangelist is the DigitalBits Foundation, and so I help found the DigitalBits Foundation. We have another organization, or I have another organization last year that I founded called Fusechain. And Fusechain, you could kind of think of it like Red Hat. It's a commercial organization. On one hand, you have Linux and the Linux Foundation, which is a nonprofit, and it's an free open source software. And then you have commercial companies like Red Hat. So Fusechain, being early, does have reserves in its own reserves in that cryptocurrency. What it's elected to do is actually, it's in the midst of issuing a security token. And the holder of that security token is entitled at some point in the future the ability to exchange that security token for the utility token. And so
It almost sounds like an option.
it's a derivative, absolutely.
Right.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you can very much think of it that way. It's fully compliant. So it does provide Fusechain the opportunity to raise capital the new way, for lack of a better way to put it, and basically use that capital, among the use of proceeds to really help fuel the adoption in its role within this ecosystem. And so we're really excited about that. We have some phenomenal support. We're using a platform called Securitize. We're also engaged with, in the midst of being engaged with a company called Open Finance that is a platform where you can trade security tokens. And so Fusechain is working with both of those organizations as well. And in a relatively near future, we'll be announcing amongst the awesome investors that have gone behind
All right,
this.
sounds like we have to hook up in 6 months,
Yes,
is what it sounds like.
Sooner.
All right. Oh, even better. Well, it's great to see you as always, Al. Thanks for joining me at MarketSite. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.